It is the maiden voyage of the sick podcast, the Dodger Zone. Now, yes, the season has started for the Dodgers, but already we got a whole lot of news off the field that we're going to get right into. That's right. Join us all season long. Hopefully, this is the only time we're going to have to talk about this one. This is the sick podcast, the Dodger Zone. Let's go.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. The Dodger Zone.
At strike three, Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter at 10:17 in the evening of June the 29th, 1990. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky.
The sickest LA Dodgers podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, guys. Well, for those of you who don't know us, this is our first time here on the Sick Podcast. My name is Ryan Bershinger, and we've got Monse Bolaños and Beau Benson with us. And all season long, we're going to be covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that includes everything that is going on with the Dodgers. And of course, we're going to start off with Shohei Ohtani, but we want to have some fun, of course, because we're always about having fun here. So let's intro you guys a bit.
Yeah, right.
I've already
having fun. We should have fun.
I'm gonna have fun. You guys are just gonna watch me. That's how the season's gonna go.
Yeah. Can I borrow your wallet?
You can have it.
All right. Yeah. There we go.
it's and suddenly, just don't commit any crimes.
Yeah, for sure. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I trust you. You're gonna be one of my groomsmen, so you can do whatever you want with it. Quite frankly. So yeah, for those of you who don't know us, Beau Benson and I have done a podcast for the last 4 years called Swing Shift with Ryan and Beau, where we've covered the Dodgers for that entire time. We've had a lot of fun doing it. And now we're very excited to be a part of the Sick Podcast Network. And we've brought our friend along, Monse Bolaños. All of us work at Fox Sports Radio. I don't want to just sit here and introduce you guys for you. Monse,
Are you sure? You're doing great.
No, it's wonderful.
So well.
I am a professional.
Yeah, it's fine.
Monse, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, as Ryan was saying, we all work together at Fox Sports Radio. You can hear me sometimes giving you news updates. I'm also a host, so you hear me throughout the week. I also work for the Dodgers, so this is extra fun for me here. And I'm so excited that you guys asked me to join you. Like, let's do it.
Please, it was easy, an easy decision. We're so happy to have you on. Beau, I know you kind of have the same sort of story as I do, but you've done other things too. You can talk about yourself.
Yeah, like I worked at Starbucks for a little bit, selling lattes. I did work for the Dodgers, so you're the only one that hasn't. So start sending out those job applications, buddy.
Do you want to give tours?
Yeah.
Can you imagine him as a tour guide?
I could do it.
He'd be so good at that.
Yeah.
Universal Studios didn't want me as a tour guide, so maybe the Dodgers will.
Dodgers will take you as a tour guide.
Good. I told Monse that story last week, Beau, but I just completely mangled my Universal Studios tour guide audition when I auditioned a long time ago, actually. I guess it would be like 2015, where basically they wanted me to talk about the fact that I wanted to be an actor, and in acting classes growing up, I was always trained to, like, in auditions, if they ask you, like, what do you do for fun? They say, don't just say that you're an actor. They want you to be well-rounded. Yeah. So in my interview, I talked about, like, I was interning at Fox Sports Radio and I was doing all these cool things. And they're like, oh, cool. So you want to be an actor, right? Yeah, sure. And Furious 7 had just come out, which is, of course, is still a gigantic Universal property.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, so have you seen Furious 7? What do you think? And I was like, oh, no.
God, come on, man.
I was telling Ryan, because I was also a tour guide at Universal Studios. Ryan was a character. I believe Ryan must have scared me or tried to scare me, and we didn't even know each other. But I was like, bro, you just failed that interview. Like, literally, you were like, don't hire me. You said that over and over. Don't hire me. Yeah. Don't hire me.
Unfortunate.
I've since watched Furious 7, but truthfully, just kind of in passing. Just throwing it on TV. So
well, if you're listening to Universal, I've watched all of them. So I I can be a tour guide at Universal Studios.
Yeah, hard pass.
Okay.
Wow.
This has happened a lot to Beau and I, where we get derailed really quickly because
Well, I mean, it's not like there's anything to talk about.
Right.
There's nothing going on with the Dodgers.
As I've been saying all day, the fact that this podcast is out, this is the biggest Dodger-related news out there right now.
Yeah, for
like
sure. We're all just
joining the fold in this manner.
Yeah, we're all just waiting for real opening day. Like nothing else going on. Yeah.
So Shohei Ohtani is in the middle of this gigantic betting scandal, which is awesome, which is just so much fun. This is just we can never have nice things. We really truly can't.
No. Can we stop opening in like other countries?
Always something happens.
Yeah. No, they're sending us to Japan next year, so I'm excited to see which member of the Dodgers organization is accused of human trafficking, because that's coming. It's so stupid. No more.
All right. So here's the latest.
That's not going to happen.
Shohei Ohtani. On Monday. Listen, we're going to get to this. Hopefully, everything's going to be fine. Okay, everything's going to be fine. On Monday, Shohei Ohtani and his new interpreter addressed the media, in which Ohtani straight up said, "Yeah, Ippei stole from me. I didn't know about this until he told me after our first game of the season, where everybody's using these videos of, oh, look how happy he is talking to Ippei. There's no way. I mean, if you knew your best friend stole from you, you're not going to be dancing around in the dugout the way these guys are." Well, Ohtani's official account now is didn't know until after the game. The Dodgers and his legal team didn't know until after Ohtani knew, which was, of course, after that game. Ippei had already gone to the media, had this 90-minute sit-down interview with ESPN where he kind of implicated Ohtani in a crime. And, of course, his legal team then heard that and said, hold on. No, Shohei didn't commit a crime. That money was stolen. So Ohtani goes to the media today. And honestly, guys, I'm pretty surprised at how forthright he was in talking about, in addressing these issues. I figured it was going to be a lot of legal speak and I thought it was just going to be a quick statement on like, look, I'm going to focus on baseball. This is going on. We've parted ways with Ippei. I'm focusing on baseball. But no, he came out swinging, as Ohtani always does, and said, listen, that money was stolen. He lied to me. That dirty thief, he is not my friend anymore. and give me back all the things you took from me, because we're not friends. So guys, what kind of were your initial reactions to the way Ohtani addressed the media on Monday?
I mean, he was so adamant about it. Like, my thing is basically like, if he was going to accuse this guy of lying, I don't think he would just do that willy-nilly, because that just opens the door to like all these other countersuits and, libel and slander, all that stuff. So it's just it's just weird. Like, I don't understand how people could not grasp the concept that maybe Shohei Ohtani was the victim of a crime here. Like, people get hung up on the word interpreter when, like, before this, everybody was like, yeah, Ippei Mizuhara is way more than an interpreter for Ohtani. So it's not that surprising to me that he got taken advantage of. I think he's a little naive, and I think he was pretty honest, like you said, and forthcoming. And I see no reason to think that he's just lying. Like, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know why he would say what he said and be lying about that.
The whole situation is messy for various reasons, and I think Shohei today or on Monday made it as unmessy as possible in a few ways. Because Ippei had that initial interview, then the next day he was like recanting. Shohei could not be vague. He had to be direct to try and calm all the people talking on social media. Here's the thing. People are just mad because he's a Dodger, guys. They're literally, I know so many people who hate the Dodgers who have literally told me, well, if he wasn't a Dodger, I wouldn't care. I would just be like, man, that sucks for Shohei. But since he's a Dodger, we want to see him fail. Since the Dodgers signed him and Yamamoto, all we hear about is like, $1 billion off season for the Dodgers. Like, they don't want this to not be a story, and that makes it extra messy. But I just think it was simple and clear. They didn't allow questions for a reason, because he was like, I'm gonna be clear. Try to make it so that you don't have questions. And I agree with you, Bo. I don't think he would have said, because like he was very like very direct. I don't think he would have been like that if it wasn't true. And the thing is, like, he's not, like you guys said, he's not just your interpreter. He was his best friend, his manager, I read in some articles. And there is, like, in this Japanese culture that I've heard about Shohei, we saw it with the Angels. They are loyal to a fault. So if he trusted this guy completely, I 100% believe he had no idea that this was happening. What are we talking about? How is this so hard to believe?
Yeah, I just, and again, the funniest thing about all this is literally as Ohtani was doing this presser, the news breaks that the Jonte Porter in the NBA was betting on himself with prop bets, like, but nobody cares because it's Jonte Porter. Like, meanwhile, Ohtani's interpreter is taking him to the woodshed, and you have headlines like you guys saw Nightingale. Like, he wrote a headline that implied that Ohtani was the one betting, but then in the morning, I'm sure USA Today had told him like, "Hey, Bill, what are you doing?" or "Bob, what are you doing?" And he changed it. But like, the damage is done. Like, it doesn't matter. I was telling Steve Hartman on Sunday, like, even if Ohtani's cleared, which I think we're all agreement that he's going to be, it doesn't matter. Like, he's going to follow him for the rest of his career.
That's what I said. To Steve Hartman on Saturday, Bo. I said he's tainted. It doesn't matter. He's tainted. And that's what super sucks about this. It doesn't matter what the league says, how clean it comes out. He is tainted.
First of all, I haven't talked to Steve Hartman recently, but I would be saying the same things to him. Steve Hartman, wonderful man, deserves to be smacked around verbally all the time. But I love Steve. So to your point, Monse, about, first of all, this is a bigger issue to people because of Ohtani being on the Dodgers. And I know that you're going to, if you're, let's be realistic, usually baseball fans have had it out for Ohtani since the day he chose the Dodgers. People have been furious about his decision, and not only his decision, but then choosing to defer all that money and having the most team-friendly contract in the history of the league, in the history of sports, quite frankly. People are mad at Ohtani. So they saw this as an opportunity to take out all that anger and be like, oh, look, the man's tainted.
I mean, the gambling addict is willingly going to take the opportunity to not get money up front. So, like, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is, there are so many, when you get into the nuances, everything that we've known about Ohtani, all the public information, which there's not a lot. Admittedly, Ohtani's a very private man. It turns out she's a basketball star in Japan. So like he's very restrained. He sent an overwhelming majority of his money, something like 97% of his money when he was with the Angels, he sent them back to his family in Japan. He voluntarily lived in rookie housing when he was in Anaheim. Like, he's a very humble man, and everything that you see about him, it's very clear. Like, he really just cares about baseball. He cares about winning. He does not care about hitting the over in the second half in Italy versus France in soccer. Like, it's such a wild accusation to me.
That Twitter thread getting traction where the guy's like, I talked to a Braves insider and he told me about these bets placed in Ohtani's home province. Like, that's what, like, that guy got like 800 followers on Twitter for that, but it's like verifiably not true. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's so stupid.
And that's the thing. It's like, he is such a hot topic right now that people are just pulling hot takes because it's trending. Anything that sounds juicy with him right now, it's going to trend, even though it's not going to be true. So it's just like, I got to see all these fake accounts telling me that they have an insider approach to what's going on with Ohtani. Shut up. I ain't got time for that. Yeah. But yet it's happening because of Shohei and the Dodgers. Like, if he was still an Angel, people would just be like, oh, is that why they've been losing this whole time? As a joke. But nobody would take it seriously. It would just be a joke.
No, and the important thing to remember too is if this does all turn out to be true, then it's squarely on the Angels because that's where he was doing it at. So Dodgers come out scot-free. And once again, the Angels are a trash heap.
People are completely overlooking that in the report that details what Ippei did and how he first met the bookie. He was first contacted, or he met the bookie through a friend of David Fletcher's. David Fletcher, who played for the Angels. So if we're going to look at some gigantic betting scandal going on here, there's a different paper trail that people could rationally follow, but who gives a shit what David Fletcher is doing, quite frankly? So whatever. Yeah. It's entirely back to Ohtani. A big takeaway that I had from the press conference, again, Ohtani was very honest. He straight up said that this, or, you know, honest in the sense that, like, he was very direct in the messaging. We can get into whether or not you believe it. That's fine. I personally, I don't think there's many reasons to discredit what he's saying. I think if there is any level of lying that is going on here, it would be that maybe Ohtani did in fact front him the money thinking he was helping out a friend or even a friend of Ippei's, where Ippei was kind of like, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, hey, a friend kind of needs this money because a friend is in some bad gambling debts. Or maybe, you know, he did front him the money one time, suddenly gave him access to a bank account, and now Ippei suddenly took $4.5 million and shuttled it off to an illegal bookie, which is a crime.
And I think the overall main takeaway from today is that Ohtani has made it he said case. Mm-hmm. And so far, Ippei has done nothing to make you believe anything he says. Yeah. Like all the stories about, like, he didn't go to UC Riverside. He didn't work for the Red Sox. Like,
so good.
Everything that's come out about him. Like, why? That's what I don't get is people are so enamored with this idea of, like, taking down Ohtani because he's on the Dodgers that they're just willing to, like, I mean, like, I'm a creative writing major. That's what I got my undergrad degree in. Like, has no one ever heard of an unreliable narrator? Because, like, that is what Ippei is. Like, 100%. You cannot trust anything he says at all. Ever.
Right.
There's no reason to believe him.
It seems as though he's been quacking like a duck this entire time. Like, we just missed the quacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just paid attention to the last couple of quacks, but the quacks have been there. And so what are we so surprised? I agree with you that there may be some truth that Shohei kind of knew something, but not this. It was probably like, again, his friend, his best friend was like, whatever, I need money for XYZ. And Shohei probably like, yeah, dude, I don't care. That would not be surprising at all. But still, as we've talked, people just want him to be guilty, to fail, to, I don't know. And it's just like, guys, he's such a, like, unicorn to the sport. Like, why would you want this happening when he has never done anything wrong but be a loyal teammate to the Angels organization out of all the organizations? Like, what? How do you suddenly hate this guy?
One thing that I thought was extra interesting about the Monday press conference is, and maybe I'm the only person that finds this interesting because I was pointing this out to people and they're like, I guess. But my point is, Ohtani had this very particular specific wordage, and he came out to make a specific statement that was definitely drafted by his legal team. At times it did seem like he was a bit extemporaneous. At times when he talked about his feelings, it seemed like he was not just going straight by the script. But obviously this is such a you're walking a tightrope when you're addressing this to the public. So you have to say certain things as you're going. You have to basically follow the script. Despite that, it didn't seem like the translator or Will Ireton, the interpreter, was translating off of a script. It seemed like he was translating in real time.
Yeah. Which, like, shout out to Will the Thrill, man. That's a huge...
He was making notes. Ohtani said something different. He's a script that he is translating Will in real time, meaning that they're very confident that he's not going to say anything and that there's not going to be any sort of message that's mixed up in translation whatsoever. Because especially with this case where you have had inconsistencies or kind of things, flip back and forth between the two stories, to have the interpreter come out there and not basically read right off of the script, I thought was very interesting. And I think it just the entire press conference as a whole shows that both the Dodgers and Ohtani's legal team are very confident that everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to believe the Dodgers would let him do that if they didn't feel good about it. And there's no reason to believe his legal team would let him do that if they didn't feel good about it. So it's just going to be a stupid cloud for however long it hangs over the team. But I truly just don't believe anything's going to come of this.
Yeah.
One overall note I do want to make about this entire situation with Ohtani. Ultimately, this shouldn't matter, right? This is, if sports betting was legal in California, it is fully legal for Major League Baseball players to bet on other sports as long as it's legal in their state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And again, I do not think that Ohtani was betting at all. But if he was, as long as he's not matter, people are betting on things all the time. You and I, all of us work with people who talk about their bets all the time, and we all live in California. So what honestly, like this does not matter in the grand scheme. As long if it's a player betting on baseball, it's a completely different conversation. But there's nothing indicating that this is the case. This should not matter.
No,
regardless of who's betting, if they're betting on stuff outside of baseball, it all comes down to just Ippei had an addiction. He got in too deep with a guy that he probably shouldn't have. He just happens to be connected to somebody who's freaking rich, which, by the way, let's bring up this point that people keep bringing up, which is, no bookie is going to allow an interpreter to be $4.5 million in debt. You're right. They won't. 99.9% of the time.
Right.
Ippei, the personal interpreter and best friend of one of the world's wealthiest athletes, is absolutely in that 0.1%. He's outside of interpreters who work for people with the title of Sultan. That's it. Those are the only people that you probably trust more with this money. Regardless, you're gonna let Ippei make those bets, which the bookie's lawyer has said, by the way, right? Like the bookie's lawyer has addressed this and said that because Ohtani was super close to Ippei, they were fine with allowing Ippei to pile up that debt.
Yeah, it's so funny that people are piling on that, because it's like all Ippei had to do was Google me. Look at every picture I have with Shohei Ohtani. He didn't even have to try. He probably didn't even need Wi-Fi. Just look at this whole video I have with his mom. It was the easiest thing to prove was his connection to Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. And also,
it's so good.
I'm sorry, I don't think the illegal bookie is going to really care that much if he's an illegal bookie. What?
Right.
He's not going to care. He's going to, if this guy says, and even that, he's being introduced to Ippei through David Fletcher. So, he obviously knows the Angels organization. And if Ohtani doesn't pay for it, then someone's going to. Yeah. So I don't feel it's such a stupid point. It doesn't make any sense. I hate this story so much. I'm so tired of it already.
If I said I was a camera technician and a bookie was like, oh, cool. But then if I said, well, I am Steven Spielberg's close and personal friend, and I work on every single film camera that makes all of his movies, and he doesn't trust any other person to handle his cameras other than me, then suddenly you're going to look at me differently.
Yeah. So. Remember Tyreek Hill had a personal cameraman last year? You think they wouldn't take his money if he went to put down $1 million on something? Come on. Come on, man.
If I said I was just a guy who hung out on sidelines and made sure people didn't get in their way, you'd be like, oh, whatever. But if I said I was the dude on the Rams making sure that Sean McVay doesn't accidentally run into the field every day, they're like, oh wow, you're rich. And one very small thing. So good for you.
Yeah. I do have one question for you guys that I was wondering. Does Shohei, in order to clear his name as much as possible, do you think at this point he has to sue Ippei? Or can this be moved on where we hear that he doesn't do any type of thing like that? Does he have to sue him in order to sell his position?
I think you just let the federal investigation run its course.
I don't think
He's going to go to jail.
so.
Yeah.
Because I think just taking legal action itself, I think I think basically, handing down theft charges, I think that alone can probably do it. I think unfortunately, in terms of like Ohtani's image across the league, like you were saying earlier, like the people are gonna always remember this regardless. It's funny where we have this same story going on with Kim Mulkey in the Washington Post, where she's saying like, this article comes out, I'm gonna sue the pants off of you. Regardless of a lawsuit from Kim Mulkey, I think people are going to see her a certain way. But that's very different because people already do see her a certain way, and whether or not it's justified, I'm not going to go into that.
Kinda. I love her. I love her. I think she's hilarious. I don't know if I'd feel the same way if I'm playing against her, but watching her from afar, I think she's hilarious.
Did you know her whereabouts in, let's say, early January?
All right, come on, don't do that. Careful. We do not know this man.
Oh no! Now Kim Mulkey's going to threaten legal action. This is
Bye, Ryan.
We've already
taken Monse and Beau.
This is
off to a great start there.
My fault.
Yeah. It just sucks that we are 2 days away from opening day. What is it? 2 days, 3 days away now, and we're sitting here talking about a scandal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's gonna go away.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No,
soon.
It's not. It's not. These kind of investigations take like years.
And people who aren't Dodger fans are going to roll their eyes at any sort of complaining that we will have towards this. But genuinely, like, I had never been more excited for a baseball season than this one.
I know. I know.
So, like, having this happen, it's just a punch to the gut. Like, it really is.
Yeah.
I'm still very excited, but like, it definitely hurt it.
Yeah, it's deflating.
Yeah. Oh well. Poor Shohei.
Poor Shohei. He's gonna be fine.
Well, and even like that's the thing too. Like, even if they find something, like as long as he didn't bet on baseball, like he's gonna get a fine.
Yeah.
And those people are like, all those people are gonna just be like, oh, see, blah blah blah. But also, if he did bet on baseball, I hope Major League Baseball sweeps it under the rug, because quite frankly, they owe us. They really do. So either way, I don't care.
Speaking like a true Dodger fan.
It's just, I
mean, if we're being honest, for the sake of the sport, if that they would need to do that for the sake of the sport. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you can't.
It just would open up so many other things that I get where you're coming from. It's not just being a Dodger fan. It's just like, for the sake of the sport, I think you're right.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Manfred didn't want everybody to know the Astros were cheating. Like, that'd be disastrous if that was like out there. Like, it's the same thing here. So Rob, if you're listening, don't you dare.
Oh man.
I don't think he could show his face in Los Angeles if something came of this and he like handed down the most extreme punishment ever. I truly don't think he would be allowed.
It's already
in the
pretty
city.
bad for him out here.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. There's no way. There's no way. No. Yeah.
Just ride this into the World Series is all I'm asking.
That's
Please, can we just one time be the scumbags who, like, nobody believed in us even though we have Shohei Ohtani? Nobody believed in us even though we spent $1 billion this offseason.
Yes. This is good. Okay, this does start to build the underdog narrative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, it doesn't matter how many MVP candidates we have.
Yeah, underdog narrative. That's it.
No one thought we could do this. Oh man. Yes. So to wrap things up, overall, there is baseball coming this week. Real opening day is coming. Not to slight South Korea by any means. It's really awesome that the Dodgers did get to do that. Of course, being able to go abroad and spread the game in that manner, and especially in Korea with this team, especially, you know, the Dodgers have already taken over Japan. They might as well take over the entirety of Asia at this point, which is just tremendous. That is huge content for us as well, because YouTube is available in Japan. So
Dodgers are coming for Afghanistan. They're taking Asia. They're taking Afghanistan. So
we are going to be covering this team throughout the season. We're going to be here every step of the way. Hopefully, the next time we record, we don't have to talk about anything going on off the field. We can just talk about things that happen on the field. We didn't even talk about what's going to happen at shortstop if Mookie Betts is in fact going to be the Dodgers shortstop for this entire season. These are things that we are going to get into as the season goes, because there's a whole lot of ebbs and flows coming. Walker Buehler got hit by a line drive from Gavin Lux, which is great.
You have one job. You have one job, Gavin Lux. You have one job. Don't hit a pitcher.
When it rains, it pours.
You know, at least we don't have to talk about Yamamoto's MLB debut. We don't have time. We just don't have time to talk about that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're out of time, but
we're at it. We can't get to it.
I agree with our good friend JP Morosi.
They're tied with everyone else right now.
It's fine.
So
it's fine. Yamamoto was fine. Stop looking at the numbers.
Suggesting that we can throw that game out and he'll be all right.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be fine. We'll give him a month. He's got plenty of time. But yes, like I said, we're gonna be here every step of the way. We're going to actually talk about baseball. We get real opening day, and hopefully the second that the Dodgers are playing real games back here in the United States, this entire off-season issue is going to kind of just float away. Okay. Remember the lockout last season? You don't remember it, because it by the time we got 2 months into the season, you're like, oh yeah, that was a whole thing. And now we're not going to get into the MLBPA just having a coup, but hey, that's an issue. Let's, for now, we will sign off. Monse, Beau, any final thoughts as opening day approaches?
Shohei's innocent. Free Ohtani. Free Ohtani.
And truthfully, if he gets arrested, if it will buy it, and I think that will sell really well, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I love it.
If this is just the beginning of the wild ride, I'm excited.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a wild one. So if you want to join us for this wild ride again, please follow the podcast, like and subscribe on YouTube. We are now in living color. Beau and I have been in the shadows of a corner closet in Fox Sports Radio for the last 4 years. So now you actually can see us on YouTube. It's the Sick Podcast, The Dodger Zone. the Sick Podcast, The Dodger Zone. Of course, a special shout out to my fiance for she kind of has all the rights to the name. Thank you to everyone at the Sick Podcast for taking a chance on us and throwing us onto the Wild Network, because we don't deserve these opportunities, but we're very excited to be a part of it. So to sign off now, this is Monse deserves these opportunities. Beau and I don't.
Yeah, no, I was going to say.
Just to make that
clear. Yeah. Monse deserves it.
I will not speak on Monse's behalf. All right. Again, like and subscribe, follow the pod. This is the Sick Podcast, The Dodger Zone. Thank you all.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, The Dodger Zone, on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.